All right, guys, good morning. As you all know, I certainly do solar leases, purchases. Leases have become far more popular than they were last year, primarily because the investment tax credit still can be applied to the project cost, but the leasing company would benefit from the incentives, whether it's the ITC or the SRECs in the market. A lot of people look at it as just, hey man, I'm just doing a bill swap. I'm redirecting cash I currently pay for with the utility to the solar company, and that's going to be less money, and over time it's going to save you a significant amount of money. What I'm focusing on today primarily is the third-party energy. It's Think Plus, that's the name of the company. And generally speaking, when people talk about, oh, I don't want to do that, I had a horrible experience, I hear that so frequently, and it's hard to overcome just because they either know somebody or they've experienced it firsthand, and they just are afraid to commit to anything because if I don't do anything, I can't get burned. So I have a short audio here that I think does a good job of summarizing what this is. And this is their simplest product. It's just called autosave. It takes away any fear of it ever costing you more money. There are additional products, a smart thermostat that if you add that, you can unlock additional savings. And then there's also a battery that's coming. New Jersey is going to be piloting a battery project or pilot probably within the next 30 days. There are stipulations to that. You do need to have a fairly significant amount of usage. Not at Mark, if you didn't have solar, you probably would qualify. But it's pretty substantial, and most homes probably don't have enough usage. But the reason for that is the company is investing in two 10 kilowatt hour batteries at no cost to the homeowner. So they want to make sure that that investment is going to return something based on how much energy you use.
Don't understand how a battery can save money if it's the same rate day and night.
It's saving the energy company, in this case, Think. They can charge it when it's cheap. They can discharge it when it's expensive.
They can.
Yes.
And then consequently you get a lower bill.
You do, right. So even the energy company saves money depending on when you use it. They just don't pass those savings on to you, right, unless you're on time of use.
Some of those savings.
Yes.
For example, at JCP&L, where I'm at, if I charge my car after 10 o'clock at night to 6 o'clock in the morning, it's almost, I think it's like, it's ridiculous. It's like 6 cents a kilowatt cheaper to charge my car at night. And I'm sure that's what they do with the batteries. You would recharge the battery at night, discharge at 2 o'clock in the afternoon when you're high demand.
Well, that is true, but Ralph had a question before about, hey, if we do run the washer at off hours, do we save money? And the answer is no, you don't. The utility does, and they encourage you to do that because it's cheaper for them to provide that power at that time of day.
It has to be a smart device, like my charger actually communicates with JCP&L, says, hey, he just charged his car was 12 kilowatts, and that goes, so that's how they know the differential between what my car was and
they may have the incentive built in for people like you to do that. In order to generally save on different time of the day is something called time of use. So for example, PSE&G, I mean, if you do it on off-peak, you might only spend 7 cents a kilowatt hour. For the generation, the delivery charge is typically exactly the same regardless of what you're on. But the peak out cost is like 53 cents a kilowatt hour. And that may not mean anything to you, but generally speaking, if you're only spending 25 or 30 cents a kilowatt hour,
It's double.
it's at least double, yeah.
But so are they always, like, for PSE&G, are they always charging us 50 cents a kilowatt hour?
No, because you're not on time of use. If you were on time of use, that you're using peak.
Lower at night and then higher.
Right.
No, but otherwise, if you're not on time of use, are
No.
they charging them 50?
They're charging you a flat rate regardless of whatever
20 or
time,
something like that.
whatever time of day you use the power. They encourage people to do it off peak because it saves the energy company money.
So, well, I'll wait until after you do your thing, and then I'll ask.
Sure.
Get my answer.
Regarding the battery, it is a really great incentive for everybody involved. So the battery, it's a 2 10 kilowatt hour EcoFlow Ocean batteries, the newest model that they have. One is for the customer, one is for the Think Plus. So they basically charge and discharge that battery throughout the day. You have a 10 kilowatt hour battery as backup. their grid outage, whatever, it's there, but if there is a grid outage, you have access to both the batteries. A 20 kilowatt hour battery is fairly substantial to the point where you could probably run everything in your household, depending on how much stuff you have and depending on how long it is. And what's in it for the company is that they basically have a customer for 15 years. There is a 15-year parts and labor warranty on the battery, so if anything ever goes wrong with it, you're covered. And what's in it for them is that I have a customer for 15 years. They guarantee you the lowest rate, they'll beat the lowest rate on the market throughout the 15 years. So the first 5 years, they may lock you in at whatever the rate is. It's substantially lower than you could get anywhere else. Then after, it's basically 3 5-year leases. And then their guarantee in the future is that we will beat whatever the market, the lowest rate on the market is, we will beat that. In addition to the backup energy. So, I think it's important that people know that they're not doing this out of the goodness of their heart. They're doing it because it's in their financial interest. It just happens that it's in your financial interest too. So sometimes it's not a zero-sum game. Sometimes it could be beneficial for all parties involved. And again, you need to have substantial usage. So most folks in this room probably wouldn't be able to qualify for that. At least as it is now, as the product rolls out and they start seeing results, maybe they'll change some things to make it more open to more people.
The install for those batteries, is that complex?
Pardon?
Is the install, have you seen a video on the install? Is it-
No, I have not. I've sold customers many batteries, and I've seen them installed. So it does change. It's more substantial than adding solar. Typically, if you could do a solar install in one day, if you have a battery, it generally makes it a 3-day install. So it's more complex than solar.
Has the cost of the battery walls come down?
I haven't checked the Tesla yet.
Like, they're always more
No, they tend to be more cost effective
Really?
than others. Yeah, like if you compare it to say a Franklin, it's less expensive, especially if you're doing it with solar, because Tesla is what they call a DC coupled device. You already have microinverters, so Tesla I wouldn't say is the best battery for you because you already have inverters. The real value of Tesla is that it has an internal inverter, so it can do the inversion, therefore eliminating the need for microinverters, thus lowering the cost of the project.
I mean, 'cause I'm really wanting to do something for backup, because where we're at, we lose. But everything I'm seeing is like these 10 kW batteries. Well, I'm using 3-4 kW an hour. So a 10 kW is going to last me
2.5, 3 hours.
3 hours maximum. I mean, that's kind of like, I need 6 of these battery walls at $10,000 a pop. It's
a lot. A battery is different than a whole house generator. You'll get far more bang for your buck for a generator.
But right now, I'm $4.30 a gallon for propane. A generator is using 4 gallons of propane an hour.
Yeah.
No, because your propane, it's expensive.
Exactly.
No, everything's
Just
expensive.
filled my tank $1,700.
I told Julia, even with our generator, we have a whole house generator, if it went for 24 hours, I wouldn't want to see the bill. You know what I mean? It'd be a lot of gas.
Yeah. All right, why don't you do your...
Well, yes, I'll do that, and then I'll answer any questions.
Save money on electricity.
Maybe. They have Wi-Fi.
I looked for that earlier. I couldn't find it. What the fuck?
The fans at the speaker, the lights.
All right. Already.
Automatically. No more shopping around. No fees. No risk.
All right, here we go.
Like it so far?
Serious, man.
I'm sold.
Think Energy is your supplier. Everyone uses energy differently, yet most people pay the same price. We believe you should be rewarded for being a smart energy user. With autosave, your Think Energy rate is personalized just for you.
What'd I tell you, man?
What's going on?
It just keeps dropping out.
Are you streaming from? is that-
Yes.
Here's how it works. You sign up for autosave. We review your personal...
Stop putting your phone down.
Yeah, this is a fancy thing. It has a battery life of 15 seconds.
Fancy light screen battery.
All right, I'm going to skip this part.
Okay. You like your better?
So, where were we?
Save you money.
No
Yes.
risk, save.
Right, basically the long and short of it is that there is no risk. It either saves you money or you're back with the utility. Again, everybody has a complaint that I'm not on top of this. I enrolled my sister a couple of weeks ago, and she had signed up for a third-party energy provider 7 years ago. And when I looked at her bill, she was paying 27 cents a kilowatt hour for generation. The peak hour rate is about 11. So she was paying more than double, which is what I see often, is that people set it and forget it. They don't want to be on top of it. They forget about it. They just assume they're using more energy. And that's the way these third-party companies make money. Think has technology called Proton, where it's actually able to check spikes in electricity costs. And currently, they are the only company on the market that actually offers this. I assume that's going to change in the future. Companies are going to see the value and start probably investing in technology that does the same thing. But right now, they are the only ones who are capable of doing this.
My question was gonna be, the delivery fees, which a lot of people are complaining about because they're increasing. How does this type of program affect those costs?
It doesn't. It's only generation. The utility is always going to be the deliverer of power unless you have solar, which the solar is both the generator and the delivery of power. So you can only lower the generation costs of electricity, which, is not as good as impacting both ends of it, but it's more than nothing.
Yeah.
So, I often say that, is any savings a bad thing? I mean, that you don't have to do anything. It's I'm either going to pay the same amount or I'm going to pay less. I spoke to somebody the other day. He's like, I was really looking for a savings for like 3 months. I could put it on my calendar and then I can check it after that and see it and shop it around. I said, are you doing that right now? He said, no. I said, so right now you're saving nothing ever. And if you do this, maybe you won't save 12 months a year, but maybe you'll save half the time. So 6 months of savings is better than none. Again, it's not a ton of money, but again, I don't burn $1 bills just because they're only worth $1.
Probably save about $5-6.
So do you pay two separate bills?
No.
Is that-
It's consolidated billing, which means when you look at your bill, it'll show,
Like you pay PSE&G?
yes. Right, you pay PSE&G, PSE&G pays Think. So on your bill, you'll see deliver or generation, the company's Think. Or if it was another third-party company, it would be that company on your bill.
Now, do they show you what the savings is?
They will. First, you enroll. They analyze your bill. If they can save you money, they'll send you notice saying, hey, great news, we can save you money. This is what we're saving you. If they can't, they will continue to shop it. And as soon as they can, they will send you notification that we can save you money. If the first month they can save you money, you'll get notification. If the second month they can't, you'll get notification to say, you know what, we can't offer you a better rate. We're going to put you right back to the utility.
That unreasonably, but if we find that we don't want to be with them anymore, we can end it.
You can. There is no cost to get in. There's no cost to cancel. Different than other third parties, typically if they offer you a lower rate, they may have a commitment on your part that if you do cancel early, you're going to have to pay an early term fee. Or at some point, if you found a fantastic rate and said, you know what, this is better for me for whatever period of time, you can cancel this and enroll in that. We're probably the only third-party energy provider that doesn't have an early term fee. Not to get in, not to get out. There's never any contract.
Yeah, well, we used to live in Boardtown. Oh, you can get 6 cents a kilowatt, but if you look at it, it's an introductory rate for 3 months.
Yes.
And then it went up to more than what you were.
Yes.
It was crazy. And you had a 2-year commitment. So they're going to give you a discount for 3 months.
Yes.
And then shove it up your backside for the
rest of the
Yes. So the commitment to you is 2 years. The commitment for them to save you money is 3 months. So, or if you want to lock in for long-term savings, typically your rate would start at more than you're paying now. So you say, wait a minute, I started shopping because I want to save money. Now you're telling me if I lock in for long term, I got to spend more. But the thought is that at some point over those 24 months, you're going to ultimately, you would have paid more with the utility at some point. But still, you're starting off at a higher rate. So again, this is something that over time I hope to build into, a recurring revenue stream. I mean, if somebody enrolls, I make 50 cents a month. That's what I make. It's not a money maker for me, but at least not on an individual basis, but over time it could be. Another example, Atlantic City.
Big energy users, you get more.
No, it's basically about the same. If you're huge, I could get what they call points. I could get a little more but it's not significant.
Commercial?
They do commercial too. Small commercial is very similar to home, like for like a triplex or something like that. But yes, a commercial would be a rate though. They would analyze what your usage is, and they could offer you a rate.
I got sort of like parachute company. They got massive amounts of electricity they use, transformers, everything. So if I talk to the COO,
Yeah.
that could possibly work out for me.
Yep. My daughter lives in an apartment complex. It's a rehabbed hotel, so there's like 200 little apartments in each one, and their electricity is included. So what I'm hoping to do is talk to the owner and say, how many kilowatt hours do you use per year, and that would be another possibility to save money.
So if I did not want to take any of their suggestions, I just signed up because we're friends. So I don't want a smart thermostat, I don't want them controlling my temperature, I don't want them controlling my water flow, I don't feel like I'm with community solar. Am I going to save money, or is it really only if you're cooperating?
No, the minimum is the autosave, and when you're on what they call on flow, generally you're going to save at least 5%. But there is no commitment, there is no smart thermostat, there is nothing like that. So there is no downside to that. I understand for privacy reasons you may not want them to have access to your thermostat,
Right.
even though you can override that, but just as a principle you're saying I don't want anybody being able to control that. Yes.
I think Cindy could control it if she had a really bad side to it. She could probably go in, right?
What was that?
Yeah, he said we could probably control it.
It's roasting in here.
So the basic program, say 5%, 5% to 5%, I'll take 5%. The thermostat, talk about that for a second. What kind of savings is involved? Could be involved with
It guarantees you at least a 5% savings for life.
that additionally?
Yes.
So that's 10%.
Yes. Well, the first 5% with autosave is not guaranteed. We'll save you if we can, but with the thermostat, it's a minimum of 5%. So it could be 10% or more, but it guarantees you at least a 5% savings. And again, the concept behind that is that they can monitor the energy markets. They can foresee an energy spike coming. So they would, if it was the middle of summer, they could lower your temperature by 2 degrees, cool off the house a little farther than maybe what the thermostat reflects. They turn off your thermostat at that for an hour. The spike passes by, and then they turn it back. You can override that if for some reason during that 60 minutes you feel that it's uncomfortable. You can change it. However, it's very unlikely that you would understand that.
Now, we don't have central air, so that's,
Right. Okay. So would a smart thermostat work in your home?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, the same concept. If it's the middle of winter, I guess they could turn the heat up a little bit for an hour and then turn it off. You seem
New
troubled,
Jersey's
Steve.
very weird because the Board of Public Utilities with PSE&G, I will tell you, they have smart thermostats and they're only allowed to turn off 8 minutes in an hour.
Okay.
So I don't know how that would work, like them turning where that works. But the PSE&G smart stats are 8 minutes in an hour. And what they do, they stage areas. They say, okay, Hamilton Square, we're going to turn off 20%.
It's like a rolling
Yorkville.
blackout.
Yes, so they take off the grid, but they only do it at massive peak.
So it's like brownouts that you don't necessarily see.
And I'm going to tell you, in the past 10 years, where we've noticed with our customers, and the reports that I've seen through PSE&G, it definitely is. Because,
They need to.
And what's in it for the homeowner?
here's the funny thing is, they advertise these boxes that go on the condensers outside, and they give the customer a $4 a month credit. Well, the electricity that unit's using to power up is $4 a month. So they had, yeah.
So you're paying as a homeowner for the power it takes to run these
Correct.
boxes.
So they gave you a credit, so you really net
Zero.
So you really didn't. Well, I'm saving the planet.
And New Jersey has more substantial incentives for the smart thermostat too. I know people who have gotten them for $10 through PSE&G. In Pico territory, it's not quite as substantial. It's like a $50 savings. So instead of $100, you spend
We have a
50.
smart thermostat, we don't use it. It's
Okay.
a smart thermostat.
Okay.
You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Does it have a microphone and a camera in it?
I wouldn't be surprised if anything, but I don't know that. I would say no.
Nest thermostats have cameras in them.
Yeah, we took our Nest off now.
That's a waste.
They
Do you have a Nest that we have?
We had
No,
one, took it
We
down.
took it off.
They do have a camera in them, but the camera is only an 8-pixel camera, which you can see about that much, and it's a random lockout. But they did have somebody who was a genius, and they said, okay, well, if we take these photos and we, over hours and hours and hours of time, we can actually see an image of the house. So,
There was a guy who took over 9,000 Roombas.
yeah.
Controlled them remotely, absolutely. He was trying to figure out how to control his, and then he saw that it was open, and he could see 7,000 of them, so he activated them and, showed Roomba that you.
Boy, that's like a remote cleaning service.
Made cats very
I'll
happy.
send you a bill.
They had somebody with a Roomba too that they hacked into the Roomba, and they said, oh, what? And they actually had the layouts of every frickin' house because of
Yeah,
the
the-
pattern that it made.
The
They were able to
Roomba
read the
does that.
patterns.
When you first set your Roomba up, depending upon which one you have, the one we have, which is killing my son, does layouts of your rooms. And I don't use it at all. It just sits in its base because it's just a pain in the ass.
So technology, it's convenient, but it exposes you to everything.
And the whole thing is where my son gets a little paranoid over it, and I just look at it like, really? Does somebody want to hack the Marion household? Really? I don't care. Do you want to watch? You go, yeah, whatever. I'm not. But some people.
Yeah, I get it. I was listening to this show where they talked about a mechanical flying dragonfly.
Yep,
They could take pictures,
I've seen that.
and they said, when that was created by the CIA? 1967. You know what I mean? People look at that and say, oh my God, that's brand new technology. It was 60 years ago.
If somebody wants to hack and see me, oh, hi. I got cameras all over my house. I got cameras outside all over the place. You want to?
Your fridge is connected and other,
Yeah, it is.
scary stuff, man.
And with AI now, I get a report of what goes on in my house, and it'll tell me a brown dog jumped on the couch at 10:50.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
It's the UPS truck pulled it. It's actually pretty scary how well.
Someone put a child in a car.
So what other questions do we have?
Anything else besides?
Accessories, are there any accessories for, because I talked about air conditioning and I don't have central. Is there any accessories for a thermostat for window air conditioners?
Not to my knowledge.
No, because that's what technology. You're not.
Unless it was if it was connected to the smart thermostat, I guess that would all be connected, but yes.
Yeah.
And I'm sure there's different technology and options coming down the road, but that's what they're offering right now, which is unique on the market. And I would say that as people invest in home batteries, the utility is going to start looking to those batteries to try and stabilize the grid when they're in high usage. And in return, they would compensate you for that. I don't know the numbers yet, but the concept is going to be the same. So you invest in a battery and they get compensated by the utility, or a company like Think invests in the batteries and you just save money without having to invest it yourself.
Battery is something you just said, it takes a long time to install. It's got to be very expensive. You have an electrician there install the same batteries.
Yeah, I couldn't tell you that, but To you, there's no cost at all.